Hello everyone, welcome to Drishti IAS. You're watching the Current Affairs Plus series wherein we discuss those topics that have been making the headlines recently but are also important from a UPSC Prelims point of view, meaning that UPSC has asked or touched upon them or those topics and asked questions from them in the previous year's exams. So without further ado, let's plunge into today's topic, which is the BRICS Summit. Let's first see why the summit is in headlines. So it is in the news because our External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has unveiled the logo, theme and website for India's BRICS Chairship 2026 in New Delhi. India has assumed the chairship as well as the presidency of BRICS from January 1st, 2026. Now, as the president and as the chair of the BRICS for this year, it is the duty of the chair to organize a summit and also to set the priorities on agenda. This becomes the duty of any nation that chairs the BRICS. Again, the presidency is decided on a rotational basis, usually following the acronym BRICS in that order, although that may not necessarily be true all the time depending on the context. And if you look at the logo, it is a logo with a lotus. It's also here. It is a logo displaying the lotus and the various colors representing different countries, different members of the BRICS, along with a namaste at the center, a gesture of namaste in the center, which represents the vibrant culture of India. Now, what is the theme of BRICS? Before that, let's discuss that our theme, the theme that this year's BRICS is going to display, reflects our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of humanity first and people-centric governance. So talking about the theme of this year's summit is actually building for resilience, innovation, cooperation and sustainability. This is the theme, and this you must all remember because it is important from an exam point of view. If you look at the first letter of each word, this again amounts to BRICS, and this is one way to remember this year's theme. So this makes it easier for you to remember as well. Now let's consider the previous year's questions that have been asked on BRICS. Very recently in 2025 itself, we got a question which said, consider the following statements with regard to BRICS. First statement says, 16th BRICS Summit was held under the chairship of Russia in Kazan. This statement is factually correct. The second statement says Indonesia has become a full-fledged member of BRICS as of 2025. Yes, Indonesia in fact indeed became a full member of BRICS in 2025, along with four different nations that had also joined BRICS in 2024. The third statement says the theme of the 16th BRICS Summit was strengthening multiculturalism for just global development and security. Now here's the catch. Looking at it prima facie, it feels that this indeed is the correct theme. However, if you look closely, as confusing as it may appear, it is not strengthening multiculturalism, but rather strengthening multilateralism. Multilateralism, that was the theme. And again here, for just global development, no. The theme said for fair global development. Again, the words just and fair mean the same, so it might appear to be relatively confusing. So we should eliminate this statement, and therefore we arrive at the correct option, which is option number A. Another question says, with reference to a grouping of countries known as BRICS, consider the following statements. The first statement says, the first summit of BRICS was held in Rio de Janeiro in 2009. Again, this statement is factually incorrect. The first summit of BRICS was indeed held in 2009, but it was held in Russia in a place called Yekaterinburg. Yekaterinburg in Russia. Hence, the first statement is factually incorrect. The second statement says South Africa was the last to join the BRICS grouping. Now, please notice the context. The question was asked in 2014, and for that time, this was indeed correct because South Africa was the last nation to join the BRICS in around 2010-11. Hence, this is correct. However, if this question were to be asked today, of course, we know that Indonesia has become the latest country to join BRICS. So, for them, this statement is correct, and therefore, we have option B as the correct answer. Now, let's read some key facts about BRICS. So, the term BRICS, the acronym BRICS, was coined by a British economist from Goldman Sachs, and his name was Jim O'Neill. And he coined the acronym BRIC to represent the four fastest emerging economies or the four major emerging economies of that time. Obviously, he meant Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Later on, of course, it was expanded to include South Africa in 2010. Now, initially, BRICS was actually formed into a formal grouping along the sidelines of the G8 Outreach Summit in 2006. So, various, let's say, finance ministers or foreign affairs ministers would meet from 2006. But the proper first formal summit of the BRICS, was held in Russia in 2009 in Yekaterinburg, like we just read. Again, we have talked about the members. The BRICS are the original members, the BRICS nations, the 5 nations, but of course, various nations have also joined since then. In the Johannesburg Summit of 2023, the membership was expanded to include Iran, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Egypt. And then in 2025, Indonesia also joined the grouping. Now, we had also, or the BRICS nations had also invited Argentina to be a member, but Argentina opted out of the membership. Similarly, Saudi Arabia was also invited to be a member, but Saudi Arabia is yet to formalize their arrangement with the BRICS, and basically it is opting for a wait and watch situation owing to its relationship with the Western world. All right. Now, another concept of partner countries was also introduced, or rather formalized, in the Kazan summit that we just discussed, the 16th Kazan summit, right? So, the concept of partner countries was formalized there, and 10 nations, the Belarus, Bolivia, Kazakhstan, Cuba, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam were invited to join as partner countries in 2025. These are the member countries, the 10 nations, and these are the BRICS partner countries, also 10 nations. Now, why is BRICS so significant, and why do different countries want to participate and be a part of or partake in the BRICS grouping? And that's mainly because BRICS represents almost 50%, 49.5% to be precise, of the global population, along with 40% of the global GDP and 26% of the global trade that is taking place. Along with that, there are various significant initiatives that BRICS has taken. For example, New Development Bank, which was the result of the Fortaleza Summit in 2014, very important. Then again, Contingent Reserve Arrangement, which is a financial mechanism which may help the BRICS members during their BOP crisis, or if they have certain currency volatility. Similarly, there's BRICS Grain Exchange, BRICS Rapid Information Security Channel, and the STI Framework Program. So this is very important, and you should remember all of these. At least you should know the names and the basic functions. Now here I have listed for you certain summits, all the summits of BRICS so far, and it is important for you to remember at least let's say the first 3 summits and the dates along with locations and the latest summits as well, especially the current one, and it becomes very important because again, India is hosting the summit, India is chairing the summit. Now finally, we are talking about key pillars for India's BRICS chairship, and we discussed those. They are resilience. Resilience from what? What exactly is resilience? Resilience is actually the strength to navigate through global uncertainties. Now, what are the various global uncertainties? They are primarily supply chain disruptions, health risks, climate risks, all right? So, resilience talks about this. When we talk about innovation, we are actually talking about deploying new and emerging technologies like AI, like fintech, to what? In order to provide effective service delivery. That is the entire idea, because the whole main vision is humanity first and people-centric governance. When we talk about cooperation, we are talking about different aspects of cooperation, meaning political cooperation, financial cooperation, as well as some sort of developmental cooperation. For what again? For people-centric partnership. People-centrism is the center point, the focal point of the key pillars of the BRICS. However, let's not forget that even though people are at the center, sustainability is given its due. And of course, we are talking about development that is sustainable. At the same time, it should be aligned with national as well as global priorities. So that was all for today's video, and I have a practice question for you. Kindly take a look at it. And do send me the answers in the comments section. If you found today's video fruitful and useful, kindly like, share and subscribe, and keep watching. Thanks for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.